Hey guys, welcome to the channel again. So, I had a question that came up to me. My guitar player's daughter was trying to buy a drum set, an electronic drum set, which doesn't really matter in this case, just a drum set. And she wanted to ask some pointers about drums and how setting up and all of that. So, I wanted to share my tips and how I set up my drum set and how this could be something that you could use as a tool or as a sample when you're setting up yours, especially those who are beginning, as my guitar player's daughter was, and kind of get an idea how to accommodate yourself when you're setting up your drum set. So, I believe that the first thing is that when you're looking at getting your drum set up, the first thing you need to do is actually figure out the area in which your drum set's going to be on. It's not so much like just getting a piece of rug in that. It's actually just kind of like figuring out where you're going to set up, that you have ability to move around, flexibility for stretching or pushing back your seat if you're too close, or accommodating, there's a lot that goes in play, and just, the dynamics of your area of your drum set that you're going to be playing on. And this applies also to acoustic drum sets. So typically I work with small size rugs that are tailored for the style of playing that I do, which is on a single kick. So I usually get a 5x7 or a 6x8 rug. Typically that's a large area enough to accommodate all of that, and that's within the boundaries of what I need, but not actually taking the entire set of the rug. So once I have that set, the first thing that you need to see is, when you're setting up your drum set, you have to really kind of analyze it, from a drummer's perspective. And I told this to my guitar player's daughter. It's like, okay, so first thing first is you have to kind of like understand what your sitting position is, your stance, because if not, that will determine how you play. Because if you play poorly, you're going to not like playing drums because you have a big shitty posture. So, first things first that I always say is kind of like, depending on how you play, if you are going to be sitting straight forward in front of the crowd, or if you're going to be kind of off-center. Off-center really is kind of like only in the meaning in that when you're playing your kick drum is aligned straight center with the crowd, as a typical drum set looks like. So, but there are drummers who use double pedal, so that is not the case. So you kind of have to keep that in perspective. So, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be in the middle. There are a lot of things that are involved in your posture when you're playing drums that sometimes you just can't accommodate, for your playing ability, because if not, you're just going to have a contorted play when you're drumming, and it's not going to be a very, good play. So I suggest is that when you're playing, kind of sit straight and kind of have like the way you would sit on a bench or on a chair. As a guy, we always have our legs in a wide position, and that really is going to be your comfort zone. So that you kind of duplicate when you're going onto your drum set. So if your feet or your posture is this way, then you have to align your pedals in that fashion. Now that doesn't only mean when you have a double pedal. You can also use your single pedal too as well. Again, it's the principle. So if you're sitting and across the but you're using a double pedal, you want to have it this way. That way you can have your feet not awkward positioning. Or you're going to have the same stance with your wide legs open, but you're going to have to be off center, and your hi-hat will be more to the left, as where your kick will be more right in dead center. So it kind of depends. That's a preference, really. So a preference that will come along when you start adding your drums and your toms and everything else. So posture is the second thing after you figure out your area. Once you figure out your area, then you figure out your posture so that you know how you're going to set your drums up, because once you start, you're going to have to go through the process of setting up and accommodating everything to the point where you're able to be comfortable, where you can just do it flawlessly. But if not, you will have a hard time, especially if you're a beginner, because you kind of don't know yet. You're kind of like still figuring out the bugs on this whole concept. So, aside from that, yeah, it's just a little bit of playing it, feeling it, kind of work with it. I mean, hey, it's not like you got anything other to do, especially when you're going to learn how to play drums, because that's the first thing you want to do, is do it right from the get-go. So hopefully those two things will be the first thing that you start out with, so that you can start setting up your drum set. Keeping in mind that it's comfortability that you want to get to. Comfortability, I should say. So once you have that, then I think everything else will fall in line. So in the next video, I'll talk about setup, and then, depending on what modular head you have, tones, and that's short. So if you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the comments below. If not, I'll see you in the next video.